Hello and welcome to Donna's Crafty Creations. In this video I'm going to show you how easy and cost effective it is to make your own stencils that you can cut out on your Brother ScanNCut machine. Stick with me and I'll show you how. All the stencils that you see on the screen here were made using elements available in Canvas Workspace. Some, such as this lattice work and the brick here, were just basic shapes. The others, such as the mermaid and this scroll here, as well as the butterfly and the other two stencils, came from elements in Canvas Workspace's projects. I'll take you over there now and I'll just show you the sort of process that I went through to find some of these elements. Let's look at stencils that might already be in Canvas Workspace. So we have some here that you could use just as they are, or let's look for our mermaid, because I did use that one. And to make this, I brought in the file, then I ungrouped it and deleted anything that I didn't want, and then I could reposition the other elements, resize them, and I even added the word mermaid on here. This one here, I'll just get rid of that for you. This one here is made from one of the Canvas Workspace projects, but I took the shape and used the nodes function. So here, like that, I opened up the nodes for it, and here we are, and just reshaped it to get this sort of rock effect. This here was from another file, and the butterfly and the leaves also, I think this was from a Mother's Day project that they had, but just little bits and pieces. Now you can see I've got a couple of different styles here. I've got this one where I've actually welded some of these elements to the side there. That is from this file. This was the original, and I took this apart here and then put it into the corners, and then that central bit, which is also right here, I just put in the middle. Then I redid it again and put it inside of this frame so that I could actually attach it. So I thought what we'd do is I'll show you how I go through the process with one stencil, and then you should be able to do all the rest. And also, just as an added bonus, I will be including the stencils that you see here on the screen. So there's a total of 7 of them that I'll have as a link in the description box below. And these again are going to be FCM files. So you can only use them if you have a Brother ScanNCut machine or you have access to Canvas Workspace. So let's bring on a new screen. We're not going to save that. We've already got that saved. And I'll start with, I could use a square. I could have it rounded. If your making stencils out of something like a mylar or a plastic, then you might want to use the rounded corners just so that you don't accidentally cut yourself with them, but it really doesn't matter. Stencils are a very long-standing favorite for paper crafters, especially card makers. They're easy to use and quite inexpensive to buy. However, because you have a ScanNCut machine, you can make your own. And I personally make my stencils from cardstock because it's rare that I use my stencils that much that I need to preserve them in plastic. But of course, you can do that. You can buy mylar or other stencil materials. Actually, they do make stencil materials, even Brother does, that you can use to cut yours out. And that will add to the longevity of them. Now, images or shapes in stencils are cut through the plastic, just leaving you with the shapes inside of the plastic, and then you can add your medium to it. So it could be ink, or you could have even paste to add texture and depth to your designs. And you could also use stencils as masks where you can cover up or block off part of an image or design. So let's look at what we're going to do. I'll actually do a couple of these with you. Let's do this one here. Let's make, how about some circles? Those are always handy to have. I'm going to resize this. Zoom in here. Now let's see what size my stencil is. Typically stencils are 6 by 6, or they could be a rectangle. You'll see them even up to 12 by 12. But 6 by 6 is fairly common. Also, I use a lot of 5 by 5. So let's just resize this to get it to what we want. We'll make a series of these circles. Now, one of the fastest ways to duplicate is to go to your layers page and use duplicate. And you can just click on that as many times as you like. Then what I do is I line them all up. I'm just going to line them up at the bottom here, and then I'm going to distribute them. I've got 0.25 here. I could change that, of course. I could have them further apart, or I could have them much closer. Let's go down to like maybe 10. When you find something that you're happy with, then of course you can make multiple copies of that as well. I think I'll go back to the 25 for mine. So I'm just using the horizontal distribute space. And then I'm going to group this and duplicate it. What I'll do then is I could just line them up, or in this case I think I'm just going to offset them just a bit. Then I can make another copy of those two and bring them down. I'll do it again. Just move that back up there. And once I've got what I think I'm going to need, then I will bring in my square should have grabbed that together, but let's just go back and put this back here. So once I'm happy with that, what I'll do is bring them all together here, and I'll bring in my square. Sorry, someone's crying going past my window here. So I'm just going to place that there, and you'll see if I give that some fill, it is behind, so that's fine. So now I'll just need to position this where I want it. So let me just move that. I will go ahead and group this now so I can move it around. Then I'll position this. It can actually bring this down a little bit. And let's take a look now. So let's select everything, and we're going to use subtract to punch that through. So that has left us with this. We need a square to keep that inside of our stencil. So I'll have another piece here. I'll make this one 6. I'm going to align it, and then I can leave it just like this, or I could offset this, and I think I'll offset this inward, bevel edge, and 20 should be alright. Let's do that. And then I will make sure that that offset piece is actually to the back, so that I can now just move that over so we can work with this. We'll line it back up again. And I'm going to subtract to leave a little border around it. And then I'll just fill that in. And what I'm going to do is bring in the design here. And attach it, weld it to the side. I'm going to line it up, and I can see here that we've got some little bits here that could be a problem, but let's take a look at it and see what we get. Let's weld that, and now I can see where I've got these small pieces. Now, very likely Canvas Workspace is going to eliminate that very tiny piece there anyway, but you can get rid of it by clicking inside and exposing those nodes, and then you can select what you want to send to the bin, and if you want to do the same here, you can do that. You can do any kind of editing that you need, and I think I will do that because I think that will just tidy it up a bit. I'm going to expose the nodes. Just going to drag the mouse around that, or you can select those individually if you want. The other option you have is to cover it with another shape. Sorry. But this is perhaps the faster way to get rid of those. There we are. So we have our stencil. It's going to cut that out, and then all these little individual circles or dots will be available to you. I'm sure you can do a better job than I've done just quickly there by making sure that these are all rounded. But I just want to give you the idea. Now let's look at bringing in something from Canvas projects. I'm going to go over to here and have a look and see if there's anything that sort of strikes my fancy. We have these gift tags. Let's take a look at that. No, I don't think that's suitable. We have some leaves here. They might be nice. So we could bring these in. We've got all these flowers and leaves. So just bringing that onto the mat. And these are already divided like so. So let's choose some of these. Let me just eliminate those. And I'm going to create something from these. I'll duplicate them. I may even just turn them round as well. Some I'll make smaller. These here. You can change the shape if you wanted to as well. Like just clicking on there and move the points around. Like in this one, I could do something like this, which would be a bit strange, but you could do it. Just going to undo that. And you can always go back into Canvas Workspace projects and select something else to add. Let's look at this butterfly. Bring that in. You can add that somewhere. Duplicate it. I hope you get the idea here. All you do is just get things where you want them. It's your project, you do your thing. And then once you're ready, you just need to place it inside of a shape, such as a square or a rectangle. I might make this one a rectangle. So let's make this a 5 by 7. So take off the aspect ratio and change the dimensions. Then I'll start manipulating these a little bit more so that they can fit inside of here. And you can add, of course, other things from your basic shapes. Be some little bubbles, little circles here. And again, I'll use this to help me create those copies very quickly. Might just do one more. Select all of those and I'll group that just so we can get that inside of here without any problem. I'm going to ungroup it just the moment, and I can reposition these. And again, you know, you ought to do a better job than this. This is just plain, really. So, move that out of the way. As I said, I usually use just card because I find that it will usually stand up pretty well, especially if I'm only using inks. If you're using something like paste or paint, something like that, which could deteriorate the card, then you might want to consider plastic. But very often I'm only using a stencil maybe once or even half a dozen times. So it just gives me an very inexpensive way to create a stencil. And then I can use some of my plain cardstock that I might not be using otherwise. So now we've got that shape. This is sitting behind. You can double check on that by just changing the color here, and you can see that that sits in front of it. If this were the purple, if that were on top, you wouldn't be able to see those other shapes behind it. So now all you need to do is to select everything, and if you're ready to go ahead and form the stencil and you don't need any of those shapes, then you can use subtract. If you want to leave those to continue working on them, then use divide. And you will still get the result that you need, but these will be left behind and you still have your stencil here. So you're ready now to download those to the machine, cut them out, and make your beautiful creation. And that's how easy stenciling is with the Brother ScanNCut. Of course, you can even do this just with your machine alone. You don't even have to go into Canvas Workspace. Use the same process. Put a shape to hold these stencil pieces in, or to cut round it, give you a frame, and then just bring in all your various elements. And you've got lots and lots of other shapes available to you in your machine.